Listen closely because what I'm about to say will probably piss some men off, but it's a truth most of you are too blind to see. You think you're the prize. You think she's just not that into you, and that if she walks away, it's over. You think rejection is the end. But here's the uncomfortable reality. She might not even be interested, yet she can't and won't let you go. And no, it's not because of some magical feminine power. It's because of a combination of psychology, biology, and the way men allow women to occupy their minds without limits. Here's the thing, men. You've been trained to chase, to pursue, to give everything without asking for much in return. You've been trained to bend over backward, hoping that your effort, your attention, your validation will make her stay. And the truth, often it does. Not because she's genuinely interested, but because human nature, and yes, I said nature, has a way of making people hold on to what they feel they might lose. Think about it. You've experienced this before. You've been talking to a woman who doesn't even give you a green light, and yet she texts you at odd times, keeps flirting just enough to confuse you, or drops subtle hints that she cares while actively keeping you at arm's length. You're left scratching your head asking, why won't she just let me go? Here's why. Women, just like men, are wired to seek validation and security. And if you're giving her attention, even if you're being ignored in return, you've become a source of emotional leverage. This is where it gets controversial, and I want you to sit with it. The issue isn't her, it's you. Yes, I said it. The reason she can't let you go is often because you've allowed her to occupy too much space in your life without claiming any for yourself. You've shown interest without boundaries, attention without expectation, and patience without power. You've become a puzzle that she doesn't need to solve, a prize that she doesn't have to earn, and a constant option without consequence. And guess what happens? Human psychology kicks in. She knows she can keep you close even without commitment, simply because she's learned you'll never fully detach. Here's another truth most men refuse to accept. Women often crave what they can't have, or what they perceive they don't fully control. It's not about malice or manipulation in every case. Sometimes it's instinctual. When you give her the power to come and go while you remain available, you're creating a dynamic that keeps her intrigued. Even if she's not interested in a relationship, she won't let go completely, because losing you entirely might trigger feelings of regret, curiosity, or just plain ego. In other words, she's keeping you close without committing because she knows she can. And that, my friend, is where most men lose themselves. I know what you're thinking, so are you saying I need to stop giving her attention? Yes. And more than that, you need to stop living in the fantasy that she owes you anything. Wake up. Women don't owe you interest, affection, or commitment. But here's the kicker. Your response to her lack of interest determines your power. If you continue to chase, to hope, to bend to her moods, you're teaching her that she can keep you dangling. And that will only make her feel in control, not connected. And here's the controversial part that most men hate hearing. Sometimes your value is measured not by how much you give, but by how willing you are to walk away. Now, I'm not talking about playing games or being cruel. I'm talking about reclaiming your life, your energy, and your respect. Women, like men, respond to boundaries, confidence, and self-respect. When you stop chasing, when you stop trying to force interest, when you start valuing yourself over her validation, something remarkable happens. The dynamic flips. The woman who thought she could have you without commitment suddenly sees the cost of keeping you. And that's the uncomfortable truth most men never face. Women often only appreciate what they risk losing, and you'll never be respected if you don't have the courage to detach. This isn't theory, it's reality. Look around. How many men do you know who are completely obsessed with women who aren't interested, while women who might genuinely care are ignored? The men who get the attention they want are not the ones begging, pleading, or chasing. They're the ones who set standards, establish boundaries, and refuse to bend to uncertainty. And yes, that's controversial because it goes against everything you've been taught about being nice or giving your all. By the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly why she can't let you go, even if she's not interested, and more importantly, how to take back control without being bitter, desperate, or manipulative. Because the truth is simple, but it stings. The moment you stop worshiping her attention, you start winning her respect and often her interest, but only on your terms. So stay with me. This isn't about tricks or games. It's about understanding human behavior, reclaiming your power, and learning the hard truths that most men refuse to face. Buckle up, because once you see what's really going on, you'll never look at rejection or half-hearted interest the same way again. Let's start with a truth most men refuse to admit. Women often crave what they can't fully control. This isn't manipulation or malice. It's human psychology, and it's rooted in desire and instinct. When something or someone feels just out of reach, it becomes more tempting. Scarcity creates value, and if you've ever felt confused by a woman who seems distant yet keeps coming back, this is exactly why. Here's how it works. When a woman senses that you're easily available, she has little reason to prioritize you. But when you have your own life, your own boundaries, and you don't automatically respond to every message or request for attention, something changes. Suddenly, you're not just another option. There's a hint of mystery, a challenge, and a sense that she could actually lose you if she doesn't pay attention. That uncertainty triggers her curiosity, her ego, and sometimes even feelings she didn't know she had. Think about it like this. Imagine a guy at the gym who barely talks to anyone but keeps to himself. A woman notices him. He's polite, confident, but not desperate for her attention. He's not chasing. He's not reacting to her every joke or comment. She starts to wonder why he's so indifferent. And the harder she tries to understand him, the more she becomes drawn in. He hasn't done anything special. He simply created scarcity around his attention. By not being immediately available, he becomes something worth noticing. Here's where men often fail. Most men flood women with attention at the first sign of interest. They text too much, reply instantly, plan their schedules around her, and give approval before it's even earned. The result, they make themselves predictable, safe, and ultimately uninteresting. Scarcity isn't about ignoring someone completely or being rude. It's about demonstrating that your time, your energy, and your presence are valuable. When a woman senses that, even subtly, her brain reacts. She starts paying attention in ways she wouldn't if she had guaranteed access to you. Now, don't get this twisted. Craving someone doesn't mean genuine interest or commitment. A woman might be drawn to the challenge, the chase, or the fact that she can't fully control your actions, but that doesn't automatically mean she wants a relationship. Still, as a man, understanding this principle is powerful. It helps you stop reacting emotionally to every slight, every pause in a conversation, or every mixed signal. Instead of chasing validation, you start creating conditions where she has to earn your attention. And that's the dynamic that flips the script in your favor. Here's an example you'll understand. A guy meets a woman at a party. They talk for a few minutes. She laughs at his jokes, but he doesn't try to get her number immediately. He's calm, confident, and moves on to talk to other people. Later, she notices he's interacting with others and isn't focused solely on her. That tiny moment of scarcity triggers interest. She's not used to being ignored, and it sparks a subtle desire to see him again. Because he didn't hand over attention freely, he became more valuable in her eyes. The lesson here is simple, but uncomfortable for many men. The more available you are, the less valuable you become. Women are drawn to challenge and uncertainty, not because they're cruel or fickle, but because it triggers natural psychological responses. When you make yourself scarce, even in small ways, you shift from being an option to being someone worth noticing. But let's be real, this is where many men get emotional. They see distance, indifference, or a lack of attention as rejection. They panic, overcompensate, and immediately try to win her back. That's the exact opposite of what creates attraction. Attraction is not built by chasing. It's built by confidence, self-control, and demonstrating that your world doesn't revolve around her approval. When she senses that you're living life on your terms, she starts wondering, why doesn't he need me the way I thought he would? That curiosity alone can keep her engaged, even if she wasn't initially interested. Another key point, scarcity isn't about arrogance or playing games. It's about value and self-respect. If you constantly give attention for free, you teach her that your presence has no cost, and that's a recipe for being taken for granted. But when you hold your attention selectively, she begins to notice not just your presence, but your absence. An absence, as they say, makes the heart grow fonder, even if she doesn't admit it. So the takeaway is this: stop flooding her with attention, stop reacting to every little signal, stop assuming that distance equals disinterest. Instead, focus on your life, your growth, and your boundaries. When she sees that you're not easily available, that you value yourself more than her validation, the dynamic changes. You become someone worth noticing, worth thinking about, and yes, even someone she can't fully let go of. At the end of the day, understanding that women crave what they can't fully have is about control, psychology, and human nature. It's not about manipulation, it's about awareness. Men who master this principle stop wasting energy, chasing unearned attention, and start creating attraction naturally. Here's a hard truth most men never admit. The reason she can't and won't let you go is often because you've allowed her to control you, not intentionally, but through your weakness, your neediness, and your lack of boundaries. Every time you overthink her actions, question her intentions, or give attention without receiving anything in return, you're feeding a dynamic that keeps you trapped. Think about how easy it is to relate. You see her online, and suddenly your day is shaped around a response that might never come. You replay conversations in your head, dissecting every word, every emoji, every pause. You check your phone obsessively, hoping for a sign, a hint, a message that reassures you. And when it finally comes, you read too much into it, celebrate too early, or apologize for imagined mistakes. You've made yourself vulnerable, not in a confident, authentic way, but in a way that signals to her you can be bent, shaped, and influenced. Here's where it gets controversial. Most men think being attentive, available, and caring is the way to win her. They believe effort equals reward. But here's the reality. She doesn't need your effort. She doesn't need your chase. What she subconsciously responds to is confidence, stability, and boundaries. When you give her the power to dictate your emotions, your time, or your attention, you teach her that she can hold your feelings hostage without accountability. And that's a problem that most men never see coming. We've all been there. You care, you invest, you hope, and in return, you get mixed signals. She says she's busy, but you rearrange your schedule. She's distant, but you double down. She ignores you, but you keep trying. You feel frustrated, confused, and exhausted. But that frustration is exactly what keeps her in control. Your emotional reactions become the currency she unconsciously trades in. And the more you react, the more control she has. Now, it's not about blaming her. It's about recognizing your role. The dynamic isn't powerful because of her. It's powerful because of how you respond. If you allowed yourself to detach, to maintain your life and your priorities, the dynamic would instantly change. But when you give away control through weakness, overthinking, or desperate attention, you feed a cycle that keeps her from leaving, even if she isn't fully interested. Here's another way to relate. Think about situations where she seems hot and cold. One day she's engaging, playful, and flirtatious. The next, she's distant, quiet, or even dismissive. Your first instinct is to panic. You try harder. You overanalyze, hoping to fix her behavior. And in doing so, you give her more power over your mind, your emotions, and your decisions. She doesn't have to commit. She doesn't have to be consistent. And yet, she maintains influence over you. That's the cycle most men fall into without realizing it. The problem goes deeper. Many men confuse attraction with approval. They think that if she's showing signs of interest, they're winning. But real attraction isn't created by chasing approval. It's created by presence, self-respect, and emotional stability. When you're insecure, anxious, or reactive, you're effectively broadcasting that her validation is more important than your peace of mind. And when that happens, she unconsciously holds more control. You can relate to this because everyone has felt it. You know the frustration of thinking about someone who doesn't commit, who seems unsure, but still has your attention. You know the temptation to send that extra text, to check in one more time, to hope that things will change. You felt it because it's human to want connection. But it becomes a problem when your desire allows someone else to dominate your emotional world. Here's the controversial part most men don't want to hear. Your weakness, not her interest, is what keeps her close. If you were confident, detached, and self-sufficient, she might lose interest, or she might finally see the value you've always had. Either way, the dynamic changes because you stop giving her power over your mind. Weakness feeds control. Strength shifts the balance. So, if you're tired of feeling trapped, confused, or frustrated, the solution isn't trying harder or proving yourself, it's understanding the psychological truth. Your reactions give her control. Your overthinking, your chasing, your emotional dependence, they all feed the cycle. The moment you stop, the moment you reclaim your attention, your priorities, and your energy, the dynamic flips. You no longer exist for her convenience. You exist for yourself. And that simple shift is what separates men who are constantly chasing from men who command respect, even from women who aren't fully interested. At the end of the day, the lesson is clear. Don't give her control through weakness. Your power is in detachment, confidence, and self-respect. The more you understand that, the less confusion, frustration, and emotional manipulation you'll face. You don't have to force interest. You don't have to beg for attention. You simply have to stop feeding the cycle. And when you do, everything changes. Here's the uncomfortable truth that most men refuse to face. Women respect men who respect themselves first. If you're constantly bending over backward to please her, hoping for approval or giving attention without boundaries, you're teaching her that you're available at her convenience. And when you do that, respect isn't built. It's lost. Most men never realize this, and that's why they wonder why women hold on without committing. Let me be honest with you. Too many men live in a fantasy that being nice is enough. They think being patient, giving compliments, and constantly showing up guarantees loyalty or interest. Here's the problem with that mindset. Niceness without self-respect is weakness. Women, consciously or unconsciously, notice it. They sense when a man doesn't value himself enough to set limits or protect his energy, and when they sense it, even if they're not interested, they keep him close because they know he won't walk away. You can relate because it's something most men experience. Think about the moments when you've been ignored, dismissed, or led on, but still stayed around hoping things would change. You've made excuses, rationalized inconsistent behavior, or convinced yourself that she just has a lot going on. Meanwhile, she's not committing and your patience is being taken for granted. That's not attraction. That's tolerance. And the hard truth is, tolerance never earns respect. Here's where the criticism comes in. Men, wake up. You cannot outsource your self-worth to her approval. If you define your value by how she treats you, or worse, how interested she is, you're setting yourself up for frustration. You've been trained to believe that attention equals affection and effort equals love. It doesn't. Women, like anyone, respect boundaries, confidence, and strength. When you have none, you teach her that she can keep you dangling without consequence. And that's exactly why she can't let you go, because you've shown her she doesn't have to. Here's something you've probably felt: the constant pull between wanting connection and realizing it's one-sided. It's exhausting, right? You keep thinking that if you do more, say more, or try harder, she'll finally notice you. But the reality is, you've already given too much without earning anything in return. And here's the kicker. The moment you start claiming your own value, setting boundaries, and walking away from half-hearted attention, the dynamic flips. Respect doesn't come from begging, pleading, or over-investing. It comes from self-respect, confidence, and refusing to tolerate less than you deserve. Men, this is where most of you need to wake up. Attraction and respect are not automatic. They're earned. And they aren't earned by chasing someone who doesn't reciprocate. They're earned by living life on your terms, valuing your time, and showing that your presence is not a free commodity. The more you tolerate inconsistency, the more you signal that your energy is disposable. And when you're disposable, she doesn't have to commit. She doesn't have to choose. She doesn't have to respect you. Another truth most men ignore: you've been trained to fear detachment. You're scared that if you stop chasing, she'll leave. But the irony is the moment you stop overinvesting, the moment you stop giving freely without reciprocation, is the moment respect and sometimes genuine interest appears. Women respond to men who have boundaries, men who are emotionally stable, and men who refuse to tolerate disrespect. That's not being manipulative, that's being a man who values himself. So here's the wake-up call: stop giving what isn't earned. Stop reacting to every text, every hint, every mixed signal. Stop hoping that patience alone will force commitment. Start valuing yourself more than you value her attention. Stop allowing inconsistency to control your emotions. Stop thinking that tolerance equals respect. If you do this, not only do you regain control of your life, but you also teach her and every woman you encounter that your presence isn't free, your time isn't disposable, and your attention isn't negotiable. In short, respect is earned, not given. And the biggest criticism for men is this: most of you are giving it away to women who haven't earned it. You think patience, effort, and attention are keys to connection, but they're often the chains that keep you trapped in confusion, frustration, and low self-esteem. Wake up. Claim your boundaries. Stand firm in your self-worth. When you do, you'll no longer be someone she can hold without commitment. You'll be someone who demands respect on your terms. At the end of the day, the rule is simple: stop being a placeholder, stop giving freely without reciprocity, and start valuing yourself first. Women notice it. Respect is magnetic. And the moment you truly understand this, everything changes. Before we end, I need to say something most men won't admit, something that will make you uncomfortable, but it's the truth. The reason women can't and won't let you go, even if they're not interested, often comes down to your own mistakes, not theirs. That's right. You've been giving away your attention, your energy, and your self-respect for far too long, and that's why she has power over you. The controversy here isn't about blaming her. It's about holding up a mirror to yourself and asking, are you ready to wake up? Too many men live in denial. They tell themselves she's confused, she's mixed up, or that they're unlucky in love. The reality is harsher. Most men allow women to occupy emotional space without boundaries. They overinvest, overthink, and overreact. They make themselves available on demand, hoping that attention alone will create interest. But here's the hard truth: interest, respect, and attraction are not given freely. They are earned. And if you don't understand that, you're destined to repeat the same cycle over and over. Let's connect this with everything we've discussed. First, women crave what they can't have. Scarcity drives attention, curiosity, and desire. But if you make yourself too available, if you chase too hard, all of that disappears. Second, your weakness feeds her control. Every moment you react emotionally, overthink, or overinvest without reciprocity, you hand her more influence over your thoughts, your time, and your energy. Third, respect is earned, not given. Stop giving it away for free and start valuing yourself. Stop tolerating inconsistency and start demanding boundaries. Stop hoping for validation and start creating it within yourself. Now, here's where most men get defensive, and this is the controversial part. Women aren't responsible for your obsession, your frustration, or your confusion. You are. That's right. She didn't make you overthink her behavior. She didn't train you to bend over backward for attention. She didn't teach you to tolerate uncertainty while sacrificing your own life. You did that to yourself. And the moment you take ownership of that, something shifts. You stop being a victim of circumstance and start becoming the man who commands respect. Not through chasing, but through self-mastery. I know it sounds harsh, but it's empowering because the same truth that frustrates you also frees you. You see, once you stop giving attention you don't deserve to give, once you stop reacting to behavior that doesn't serve you, once you reclaim your time and energy, you create space for authentic connection, not manipulation, not chasing, real connection, the kind that's built on mutual respect, interest, and boundaries. And yes, when you do that, women who were once not interested will start noticing, and some might even regret not taking you seriously sooner. Here's the part I want you to really take in. This isn't about tricking anyone, pretending to be someone you're not, or playing games. It's about clarity, honesty, and self respect. It's about realizing that your reactions are your responsibility, not hers. The frustration you feel, the obsession, the confusion, they all exist because you've allowed them to. You've handed away your power without realizing it, and the moment you take it back, you flip the script completely. You go from being someone who waits for approval to someone who sets the rules for their own life. So, here's my challenge to you. Stop blaming her. Stop hoping she'll finally commit. Stop tolerating uncertainty as if it were love. Start focusing on your own boundaries, your own growth, and your own value. Live life on your terms, and the rest will follow. I promise it won't be easy at first. You'll feel the pull to react, to chase, to prove yourself. But remember, every time you resist that pull, you're reclaiming power that's been yours all along. And here's where I want to hear from you. I want you to comment below on your experiences. Times when you felt trapped by a woman who wasn't fully interested. Times when you overinvested. Times when you realized you were giving away your own power. Share honestly. I read every comment. I'll reach out to connect, to respond, and to help you see patterns you might not even recognize. This isn't about theory, it's about real life, real struggles, and real change. So, to close, let me leave you with the boldest truth of all. Women won't let go because you've let them control you. Stop giving away your power. Stop chasing validation, and suddenly you're no longer someone to hold. It's you who holds the cards. That's controversial, uncomfortable, and maybe even a little scary to admit, but it's the truth. Comment below, share your story, and let's start taking back the power that has always been yours.